Let's begin with section C. Section C comprises of questions of 3 marks weightage. आइए देखते हैं पहला क्वेश्चन सेक्शन सी का. क्वेश्चन नंबर 13. It says explain integrated organic farming as successfully practiced by Ramesh Chandra Dagar, a farmer in Sonipat, Haryana. As you can see 3 मार्क्स का क्वेश्चन है और ये क्वेश्चन अगेन इकोलॉजी से आया हुआ है, द चैप्टर इन्वायरमेंटल इश्यूज. इस क्वेश्चन को पूरा 3 आउट ऑफ 3 मार्क्स लेने के लिए हमें रमेश चंद्र डागर जी की पूरी कंट्रीब्यूशन लिखनी है. उन्होंने किस तरीके से इंटीग्रेटेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग को प्रैक्टिस किया है. लेट्स सी हाउ डू वी राइट दिस काइंड ऑफ अ क्वेश्चन. फर्स्ट वी हैव टू एक्सप्लेन व्हाट इज इंटीग्रेटेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग. सो द फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द क्वेश्चन, एज यू कैन सी, इंटीग्रेटेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग इज अ साइक्लिकल प्रोसेस की फॉर्म में, साइकिल की फॉर्म में है, जीरो वेस्ट प्रोसीजर वेयर वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स from one process are cycled as a nutrient for other process. तो वेस्ट प्रोडक्शन बिल्कुल नहीं है. जो वेस्ट किसी एक प्रोसेस से आ रहा है वो दूसरी प्रोसेस के लिए एज अ न्यूट्रिएंट काम करता है. सो दैट इज इंटीग्रेटेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग. अब बात करते हैं रमेश चंद्र डागर जी की, who is a farmer at Sonipat, Haryana, is doing just this. He includes beekeeping, number 1, dairy management, number 2, water harvesting, number 3, composting, number 4, and agriculture, number 5, in a chain of processes which support each other. ये सारे process किसी ना किसी को support करते हैं and they allow extremely economical and sustainable venture. For example, there is no need to use chemical fertilizers for crops as cattle excreta. Guys, हमने पढ़ा डेयरी मैनेजमेंट भी होती है, तो डेयरी मैनेजमेंट में कैटल है, उन कैटल एक्सक्रेटा को कैन बी यूज्ड एज अ मैन्योर. सो वी हैव नो डिपेंडेंसी ऑन केमिकल फर्टिलाइजर्स. ऑल्सो क्रॉप वेस्ट, जो क्रॉप का वेस्ट है, इट इज़ यूज टू क्रिएट कंपोस्ट. कंपोस्टिंग में हेल्प करता है. नाउ विच कैन बी यूज्ड ईदर एज अ नेचुरल फर्टिलाइजर. क्रॉप वेस्ट को या तो तुम नेचुरल फर्टिलाइजर की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं, और इट कैन बी यूज टू जनरेट नेचुरल गैस. यस, नेचुरल गैस, मीथेन की बात कर रहे हैं, फॉर सेटिस्फाइंग द एनर्जी नीड्स ऑफ द फार्म. So this is how waste from one process can be used as a nutrient or of some good value in another process. Zero waste generation and maximum utilization. That's a concept of integrated organic farming, and Ramesh Chandra Dagar ji is doing a wonderful job. Guys, if you write all these points correctly, you are going to get 3 out of 3 marks. So first, एक चीज़ तो है, यहाँ पे आप ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग को जब डिफाइन करते हो, इंटीग्रेटेड ऑर्गेनिक फार्मिंग को, 1 मार्क यहाँ पे मिल जाता है. फिर रमेश चंद्र डागर जी के जो भी प्रोसेसेस वो करवा रहे हैं अपनी इंटीग्रेटेड फार्मिंग के दौरान, उसका 1 मार्क्स. एंड लास्टली किस तरीके से कौन सा वेस्ट कैसे न्यूट्रिएंट की तरह एक्ट कर रहा है, इसके बारे में लिखेंगे. इन टोटलिटी यू आर गोइंग टू ऑब्टेन 3 out of 3 marks. Now let us take up the next question. आइए देखते हैं अपने नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन को. इस क्वेश्चन के अंदर इंटरनल चॉइस है. ये वाला पार्ट बॉटनी सेक्शन का है एंड दिस पार्ट बिलोंग्स टू जूलॉजी. सो लेट अस टेक अप द फर्स्ट पार्ट व्हिच इज द बॉटनी पार्ट. सो हियर वी हैव क्वेश्चन नंबर 14. क्वेश्चन सेज explain 3 different modes of pollination that can occur in chasmogamous flowers. Again, this question is of 3 marks weightage. And this question has come from the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. तो हमें 3 modes of pollination लिखना है, तो every mode is going to give us 1 good mark. Let's see how do we write this question. First of all, we should know that there are 3 ways of pollination. One is autogamy, other is geitonogamy or geitonogamy, up to you how do you want to pronounce it. And the third one is xenogamy. First of all, talking about autogamy, क्या होता है इसके अंदर? In this type of pollination, what is happening? This is achieved within the same flower. Yes, autogamy self-pollination है. So it is achieved within the same flower. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of the same flower. That is autogamy, or you can also call it as, I'll write it here, you can also call it as self-pollination. ठीक है, सेम ही फ्लावर के अंदर हो रहा है, तो ये ऑटोगैमी कहलाएगा. मूविंग ऑन टू जीटोनोगैमी और गाइटोनोगैमी. ट्रांसफर ऑफ पॉलन ग्रेन्स फ्रॉम एंथर टू स्टिग्मा ऑफ अनदर फ्लावर ऑफ सेम प्लांट. जी हाँ, दैट इज जीटोनोगैमी. सो इट इज sometimes confusing to understand what is geitonogamy, how do we understand the same plant. See, I'll make a quick diagram. मान लीजिए ये एक plant है और ये flower है, यहाँ पे male part and this is the female part, M and F लिख दिया मैंने. तो male part से pollen grains निकल के female के stigma पे चले जाएंगे. So what is happening? This is one plant, one flower. Okay, this was autogamy. Talking about geitonogamy. Geitonogamy में let us say this flower has the male part. Okay, and this is another flower of the plant which has the female part. Okay, unisexual flowers है ये bisexual था. तो अब क्या होगा? Male से pollen grains जाएंगे female के stigma पे and pollination will happen. So you can see flowers are different, but the plant is one. So that is the concept of geitonogamy. So it is genetically self-pollination, but ecologically it is a cross-pollination. NCERT की line है ये. So this is geitonogamy. I hope it is clear. Then is xenogamy. Xenogamy is cross-pollination. ये एक plant है और उसका ये एक flower है. Let us say it is the male part containing the male sex organ, and here is the female part containing the female sex organ. Pollen grains travel from one flower to another flower of different plants. So that is the concept of xenogamy. We will also read the definition here once. Transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma of a different plant. So this is the only type of pollination which during pollination brings genetically different types of pollen grains to the stigma. So yes, as I said, this is a true cross pollination. True as in the plant is different. Here flower was different but the plant was same. I hope this is clear to you, and if we write all of these correctly, 1 mark for xenogamy, 1 mark for geitonogamy or geitonogamy, and 1 mark for autogamy, and in totality we will get 3 out of 3 marks. Now let us take up next question here.
So here we have the alternate of question 14th, and the alternate part is explain the formation of placenta after implantation in a human female. Now this is a question from human reproduction, and in this question we have to mention about formation of placenta. Now after implantation, which you know occurs at the blastocyst stage, there would be finger-like projections that start appearing on the trophoblast. So in the blastocyst, the outer layer of cells that is called trophoblast, and these finger-like projections which start arising, that are called chorionic villi. Now these chorionic villi, they embed into the uterine tissue, and the maternal blood vessels in the uterine endometrium, they break so that the chorion is surrounded by maternal blood. These chorionic villi and uterine tissue together, they are interdigitated with each other, and they form the structural and functional unit between the developing embryo, that is the fetus, and the maternal blood, and that's what is the placenta. Once you answer the question point wise, then each of the point will fetch you 1 mark each. So that justifies the 3 marks which the question is of. So with this we can move on to our next question.
Here we have question number 15. Question number 15 says, you are asked to find the genotypes of tall pea plant growing in your school garden. Name the cross and explain how would you confirm the genotypes. As you can see, the question has come for good 3 marks, and this has come from the chapter Principles of Inheritance and Variation. Guys, इस question को solve करने के लिए the right cross would be test cross. Plant, if it is tall, it can be homozygous tall or it can be heterozygous tall. Now to know whether the plant is homozygous tall or heterozygous tall, the best way to do is cross it with a recessive plant, recessive parent, and the cross is test cross. So let's see how do we write this question correctly so that we get 3 out of 3 marks. So to know the genotype of a tall pea plant, we have to perform, as I just said, test cross. Now in a typical test cross, an organism showing dominant phenotype. Guys, please note this carefully. The organism showing dominant phenotype. The dominant phenotype here is tall, which should not be confused with its genotype. Okay, so do not get confused with the phenotype and genotype term. And yes, the organism showing the dominant phenotype, which is the tall plant, is crossed with the recessive parent type, whose genotype as well as phenotype is recessive. That is a dwarf plant. So that is the definition of test cross. We'll get 1 good mark for this one. Let's see how do we do it further. Now, if the tall pea plant is homozygous, then the result will be as follows. So you can see this one is tall plant, capital T, capital T. This one will be dwarf. I will write it down here. This is tall plant or tall parent, and this is a dwarf parent. Now, what would be the type of gametes? This one is going to produce only one type of gamete, that is capital T, and this one will produce a gamete, single type of gamete, that is small t, and the offspring will be capital T, small t. Yes, the phenotype is again tall. So if you perform a test cross and afterwards you get the offspring, all of them are tall, which means that this parent or this pea plant which is tall is homozygous tall. Now let us see another situation where the plant has a possibility to be heterozygous tall. Now if the plant is heterozygous tall, then again the phenotype will look like a tall plant. Plant to tall hi dikhega, or it will be crossed with a recessive parent which is a dwarf one. Now what kind of gametes do you expect here? The dwarf one is going to make only one kind of gamete, that is small t and small t, which is here. Small t and small t. Now if the parent is heterozygous tall, we see two types of gamete. One will be capital T and the other gamete would be small t. So on one hand side we'll write capital T, small t, and on the other hand side we'll write small t and small t. The cross is depicted in the form of Punnett square here. So students, in this Punnett square we can see when one parent is heterozygous tall and the other parent is recessive, small t, what do we get? We get this one as the tall phenotype, ये tall रहेगा चाहे heterozygous है, ये भी tall रहेगा heterozygous tall. This one will be dwarf and this one will be dwarf. So what do we see? What is the difference? Homozygous tall के केस में सारे के सारे offsprings tall ही है, लेकिन heterozygous parent के केस में 50% of the progeny is tall and 50% of the progeny is dwarf. So this is how we can identify in our school garden we have homozygous tall plants or heterozygous tall plants. So yes, in the end you can see, therefore if 100% of the offspring of this cross are tall, then the tested tall plants is homozygous, and if only 50% are tall, then the tested tall plant is heterozygous. So students, as I said, 1 mark for this portion, 1 mark for this portion, and 1 good mark for defining the type of the cross, which is test cross. This one will also give you 1 mark. And in totality, we will get 3 out of 3 marks. Now let us take up next question.